Hello, everyone. This is James Strong. It's September 29th. This is the sub-project meeting for SIG Networking, Ingress NGINX, which means it is a CNCF project, and it is subject to the code of conduct, which means be awesome to each other. If you have any issues, please report those to myself or the SIG Networking leads. Thank you. And with that, we've got a couple people. I haven't seen their names. If you'd like to introduce yourselves, tell you your interest in the project, how you're using Ingress, or what you'd like to see and help with in the community, that'd be great. No pressure. You can just ignore me.
Yes, just for information, in fact, we have a problem in France. When you say the name, we just put the name. So that's why I just put Birota, but it is Pascal Birota. So I have joined your meetings since the beginning, but I didn't follow up since a long time. But I'm very interested in every subject concerning Kubernetes.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Leon, you just want to hang out? All right. That's fine. Well, I did not do any of the pulling up issues like our good friend Noah used to do for us. So I want to make sure that we do the triaging because we're really bad at not doing triaging. We need to spend the 15 minutes doing triaging. And then we can go back to our conversation topics of the 1.4 release and looking at the stabilization projects. And hopefully by that time, Gentile will be able to join us and talk about the Open Rusty upgrade. Does this sound good to everybody? Ricardo, that means you have to pay attention.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I am just moving my head. I will keep my microphone unmuted.
I like giving you a hard time. If I don't, who is going to? All right. 226, that's fun. 146 open. I feel like the triaging issues, it never goes away. Let's go ahead and start at the top then. Multiple K8 services for one server name and location pair. Well, before we jump into all of these, I know Long, you had a couple that you were looking at, and Verota, did you say you had an issue that you wanted us to look at, or are you just here to hang out? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that first.
Basically, I think if we want to triage, then it will really help if we triage the issues that are marked as bug or help wanted. For example, there is 2 gRPC stuff that only Ricardo or Jintao, somebody who knows gRPC, can look at. And then there is a couple that are marked as bug. Again, only Ricardo and Jintao can look at that.
Okay. Probably should pull a list of those together if there's any gRPC issues, but okay, this looks like a support question. Is it possible to target multiple K8 services behind a single server name and location?
Yeah, I answered him. He basically, he's now come on the Slack, and I'm going to continue there on Slack with him.
Okay. Can you drop the needs triage and priority then, since you're supporting them on the Slack?
Okay. He's basically asking about basic functionalities, not like a feature or
yeah.
So
that's fine. Dynamic reconfiguration fails. This isn't good. Unexpected error code 406.
Again, this is an install thing. They're not giving enough information. You said they manually messed with the config maps and stuff because they had an incident. So just to make sure that the incident was caused by a manual intervention, they experimented, and once again they manually tried to mess with it. Then they started having issues, and I suggested they do an upgrade so it will reconcile. But instead of getting information about the exact reconcile or upgrade process or reinstall process, we just sent one more message. So I said, okay, do this and give precise information. So waiting for them to give information.
Yeah, a little bit more information, but it looks like it can't get the lock.
No, you
Looks
have to
like it
understand
can't.
that this is not something that happened by itself. So they had an incident and they suspected that somebody messed with the Helm release manually. So they suspected
Oh,
that.
okay.
So to reproduce or to verify that somebody did do that, they went ahead and did a second messing around of manual deletion.
Yeah, I can't, okay, so they manually deleted it and we're just waiting to hear back on if the fresh install fixes the issue.
Yeah.
Okay, again, another support one. I think I read through this one, the K3S install.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, this one sounds like a DNS issue because they couldn't do a lookup. So they're using, and I've never done this before, using K3S, or is this the Rancher stuff? Yeah, Rancher K3S.
Yeah.
They're using it to deploy a Helm chart and they couldn't pull a Helm chart. I'm like, it works fine. So I don't know how it's trying to pull an image. So we're just waiting to hear back on this one.
So yeah, basically, you see, if they use a Ubuntu server that uses MDNS or system to resolve, and if that gets pushed out into core DNS, the name server there is going to be loopback. So K3S will, I mean, no, nothing will work with loopback DNS server, right? So probably something like that. So we just have to wait for information.
Yeah. Okay. Not gonna look at the. Oh, this is a feature request. Schedule name field support. Yeah. Good call. Thanks for looking out on that one. Here we go. This one actually seems like an error. Health Z not accurately reporting container health.
Yeah, so what happened is he's saying that when he curls from inside the pod, it's broken. He knows, he can confirm that it's broken, both the health point and the controller itself. But from outside, the health check is not reporting that it's broken. And that's because if the process is dead and there is no response coming in, so even the update that the health endpoint is broken, even that update itself is not coming. But this, it's not known how they went or they got into this. So waiting again, I think we're waiting for information or trying to be able to reproduce something like that. But yeah, it could be a large size or something. It's just locked up, just wedged. The process itself is wedged. So I asked if the web server was working. I asked if there was any logs that the web server did process a HTTP request from the same pod or from outside, but I'm still waiting for information.
So Ingress just hands it off to NGINX. So this would be an NGINX issue, wouldn't it? If it's got a bunch of close weight connections. Because Ingress just configures the routes and the configuration for NGINX, and then it handles all of the connectivity. Is that right, Ricardo?
Yeah, the health Z on the control plane, it is, if I record correctly, it is from NGINX and not from the Go modeling.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if
From
he's
the
seeing a
Go
lot of
modeling.
closed weights, NGINX isn't closing the connections.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. He's getting it. Yeah, he's saying it right there.
So it's very obvious, right? If you run out of sockets in that namespace,
Yeah.
there's
So
nothing to be done but
I got a problem. Is this running on kind or something like that, or K3S? No, that's Cube Spray. I already saw it. Yeah. So I faced something similar yesterday running the end-to-end tests, and it was some CCTL needs. I'm not sure if something changed. If this is like a new version or not. I don't think so.
A new version of what? I mean, between
Of NGINX.
between 1.1 and 1.3.0, we're still using the same version of NGINX.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe much probably this is something on the operational system and not on NGINX. Like these calls to the liveness and the readiness, they are made by kubelet, right? They are not
Yeah.
made by us by any sense. And NGINX should be closing this connection. So there are two possibilities. One is the program that deals with this health check. I don't remember where this is, but this /health in NGINX is like blocking connections, or it needs some tuning in the operational system.
No, see, the people who are using thousands of Ingress resources, they haven't reported running out of sockets in the pod. So it is, and these sockets and connections not closing, my first suspicion is where to get information if they are customizing their operating system, a TCP IP stack, windows and buffers and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
So if they run out of that, to any kind of resource on the host operating system TCP IP stack, it will definitely reflect in the pod. And
yeah. I agree with you, Long. I just want to make sure that that there is no program in our side getting stuck on that. Like if this health check is not, it's not blocking, right? If where this health check runs, because I don't remember where it runs, if this is part of the Lua code or something like that, it's not getting stuck, and this is a real issue on the OS. I'm tempted to say the same thing as you, that this is a constraint on the TCP stack on the node or something like that. I just want to make sure on that. And
yeah. So we have to get that information from him about whether or not the NGINX process itself is spawning a thread when the request comes in from local host itself. So we have to wait for information from him.
Okay. Again, yeah, waiting for more information. All right. I just wanted to talk through that one because it sounded like that was an issue, but yeah. Okay. Route TCP traffic to a service endpoint. That's exactly what we do.
No, basically he's saying that he'll open a TCP port, but he wants ingress functionality, like he'll have 10 pods, and then he wants the connection to go to the cluster IP type service that is going to be that he would have created and all that. So like contradictory to the whole concept of opening a TCP port that directly routes to the backend.
So why? So here's my question: doesn't Istio have its own Ingress gateway? Why would they be using Ingress NGINX? Am I just ignorant?
No, that is a confusing point. So we need to know Istio well, but his requirement from Ingress NGINX controller is very simple. He wants Ingress NGINX controller to open TCP port, but he wants to route that connection. So the backend connect that when the port is open, he wants the traffic to go to the service and the endpoints that Istio and all that is involved.
Oh, because they're okay. I'm following now. So he wants to route it through the Istio proxies instead of
Right.
to pod services. Okay.
Right, because he says that his requirement is normal TCP going to pod, no problem, everything works fine.
Yep.
But Istio has a requirement of TLS, so encryption.
And
So
it's
he
on
had-
through the Envoy proxy that's there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that might have to take a think, because it just does the proxy injection on the service pods instead of on the pod. And we're gonna go directly to that pod, and we're not gonna go through the Envoy proxy.
we cannot go to Envoy proxy in any controller implementation where the termination is layer 4, right? So if you open TCP port, right then and there we're doing layer 4 and no layer 7 stuff. So he wants some that magic feature where things will come in on layer 4, but because Istio needs that TLS, then magically layer 7 stuff should start happening in the backend after that.
Ricardo, I don't know if this is possible with our current implementation.
I thought I tried to put like unresolved tag there.
Are you reading it and thinking?
Yeah. I read once, but I was like,
Isn't it I thought it would be the same IP, because it's just a sidecar proxy, the Envoy proxy.
yeah,
Why wouldn't it encrypt the traffic?
maybe Envoy generates the certificate with the IP address of the service.
Yeah, so this takes this is gonna have to look into how we can integrate Ingress NGINX with Istio. 'Cause I've not tried it.
Yeah, this seems interesting. Like that seems like a cool scenario to test.
Yeah.
And see what we can do if someone wants to take this.
As I
Yeah.
say, you already have too much on your plate. So
No, I am already booked until 2024 with stuff.
I just wanted to make sure. It is an interesting problem and it is an interesting feature, but we'll have to have someone test it. I'll tag this one as a help wanted, and it is a feature request. So we can just do what we've been doing.
Go ahead, Lou.
But Ricardo, is that for HTTP and HTTPS traffic, even if assuming that the Istio gateway is bypassed, is using the HTTP and HTTPS endpoint from Ingress NGINX controller, but would it be really possible for TCP traffic? He's already saying that TCP traffic non-TLS works, and that is to assume that HTTP and HTTPS traffic with the Istio integration will definitely work, but TCP traffic, so example, if he opens a MySQL or something like that, and then
no, I think what I'm understanding here is that they but I didn't find a way how to do the same with TCP traffic. Okay, yeah, I've missed that line. So it works with HTTP, and they wanna use Ingress to route TCP endpoints, right?
Yeah.
They can try to use SNI maybe. Like exposing the port as a TLS, getting the header that's called, and from that header just tunneling the traffic to the backend.
But you want to go ahead and write up that suggestion in the comment?
But then the Istio
no.
TLS, the Istio TLS will all be self-generated certs, right? So at least at the first hop, Ingress controller will need to know that CA, isn't it?
The Ingress controller would know based on the SNI. You expose the service with a name, and you say that that's a virtual host with a name, and then we call that service using TCP. You should say that you are using TLS, and because of the header of the SNI saying, hey, I want this, present me the certificate of this thing, Ingress knows that you are asking to be routed to a TCP service behind a TLS with that name, and it can do the routing. So you wouldn't need, so the thing is that if people stop exposing services via TCP and UDP on Ingress without using TLS, you could just rely on all of the layer 7 stuff and not on that config map exposing, like doing from ports, right? I don't know if this is the case. And honestly, my point here right now is that this seems like an interesting case. I just don't have time to test it, but seems something valid at least to test and say if we can support that or not, right?
Yeah, it's marked as a feature, and we can get back to it once we get through the
Yeah,
basic
just
control
just
plane
add some
for it.
help wanted there, James, and say, hey, can someone maybe try to reproduce that? I'm not sure if you want to do that long. Just slash help. Just slash help. Yeah. If you want to take a look on that one, because I think this is something that can be used in, let's say, if you have SNI, TLS, but I want to understand a bit more instead of just saying, hey, we don't support that. Like, we don't support because this is like a constraint for us. This is a constraint for NGINX, or we just don't have time, or our architecture doesn't support that, right? Or we can support, but we need to implement something else. That's just my point on that. Like, instead of just close or not thinking on how we can do that, I think that's an interesting case.
Yeah,
It's
so
not something that
I'll,
we already exhausted as a discussion. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I'll add it onto the backlog, and I'll do a triage accepted, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Because, like I said,
This one is the help Z one. You are missing the priority. You are just adding slash priority and not priority. Yeah.
talking and typing at the same time.
Okay. Then you have to remove the unresolved. Remove triage unresolved.
Yeah, we triage accepted. It's gonna just remove
Will it?
or don't.
No,
it won't.
I've seen that before where it doesn't actually remove it.
Okay.
All good. All right, that's time for the triage issue. So let's go ahead and where is it at? Oh, there it is. Go ahead and talk about where we're at with things. So the 3618, is that the 119.1, or is that no, that's the NGINX upgrade for the Open Rusty stuff. So we'll
So
give Yanto
I-
a flogging for saying he's gonna be here and then not. No, kidding.
I have something in here on this thing actually.
Yeah.
I'm really tempted to do two releases. One that we follow in NGINX version, OpenResty version, and one that we don't. Like if we can automate something like that and say, hey, we have in NGINX version 119 or 121, which is the one that is kind of supported by the community. And we have this version 122 or 123 that every time NGINX releases a stable release, we just compile with the latest OpenResty bits and say, hey, people, this is the version, use by your own. Just let us know if this is working or not. And I think that the majority of, like, I mean, not use by your own, you're not going to support you, but like,
Use your own risk.
yeah, it may be unstable because we are doing, we are just doing compiling using the latest bits, but we want to know how this is going and how this looks like for you.
So this might be a question for further conversation, because I've been really digging into our NGINX build for the last week and a half, and I don't understand the Open Rusty component. Is that the Lua Rusty core that needs to be
Yeah.
upgraded? Because there's 22 dependencies, and over half of them are Lua code dependencies.
Mm-hmm.
And so
and some of them, and we also apply some patches on the NGINX C code, right?
Yeah.
And I am not sure, I have no idea why we do that, to be honest. Like, it's something that I need to dig into the other pull requests and figure out why we do apply those patches, if this is something that still happens. So
It
this
does,
is why
though. Patches still do happen.
yeah, I know that
So
one of those, it doesn't happen anymore because was a resolve conf failure or CV or something like that. But I wanted to,
The patch.txt file, that
yeah, I
still
think so.
still gets applied.
So at least one patch I know of is a backporting of the patch. So
Yeah, so we only do this way because we need to be compliant with OpenResty, right? Or OpenResty version. So I wanted more to do that thing as an experiment and say, hey, we have this other version that may or may not have problem, may or may not be stable, and we want you folks to tell us, yeah, look at this, man.
This one?
All of those.
Yeah, all of these get applied.
Yeah, I wanted to check if we just use like version 122, we still need all of those patches or not. If they are related to like NGINX or if they are related to something with Lua. And also, as you've seen that we have 22 dependencies, the majority of them being Lua as well. If which part of the code we use those, and if we can get rid of them and just keep with like Lua Resi core and some other core stuff, and start removing and making smaller our footprint, right? So I think that's a good experience actually. First of all, say, hey, we have this NGINX version 122, which we just apply Lua, Resi core, and other stuff, and we are going to start removing things from this compilation. And we want you community to tell us if this is making, if you miss something here or not, right?
Okay. Would we do another beta, like a beta release?
Yeah.
Or like an alpha release? We're like, hey, YOLO, try this out and let us know if it works.
Yeah.
Ricardo, instead of release, can we just create a new directory, subdirectory, copy whatever is needed, and just do image and have a Helm.
Do a cloud build, right?
Yeah, just do cloud build image and then optional switching for those who want to experiment. Just switch the
NGINX base.
The base image.
NGINX base.
Yeah.
Not the base.
Yeah.
Not NGINX base. The whole controller image itself. So one controller image built with what the current way, another controller image built normally but shipped with the NGINX and all the latest 123 and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, James. And new NGINX base and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So new NGINX base that's just using latest OpenRusty and
Right.
NGINX 122 or 123, and
Right.
just let it test. And we don't do, or probably don't add any. Well, if we add a new one, it's going to do all of the end-to-end tests as well.
We can skip.
Yeah, we can just skip them or ignore them, and because we got to do the merge to get the build. Okay.
Yeah. I'm tempted
because,
even. Go ahead, Long.
Sorry. Please go ahead.
No, I'm tempted even in this new compilation, in this new build, removing like mod security and checking like if mod security is not like available, just like we accept the configuration, but we can, as an example on the admission webhook, say, hey, we don't have mod security, so it's like we are not gonna do nothing with that. Like
I think that's one too many changes at once.
Yeah. I wanted actually to create something new, some new image.
Well, that leads into what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm removing Docker from our build process.
Cool.
So
yeah, makes sense.
But as an experiment, we want to change one thing at a time.
Yeah, which is
James, I agree with you that one thing at a time, but what I'm hearing from what Ricardo is saying, and this is kind of obvious to me also, my opinion wise, I'm saying that we don't have that choice of making only one change, because I think they're like a mesh, Rusty plus base plus controller plus. So they have we just
Well, the controller will still be the same version because we can
Yeah.
just take the 1.3 controller and change the Nginx base, and still be the same. It'll still be the same controller image, and we just see if it works with the 122.
no,
And
okay.
just go out
So
there.
Let's okay. I got James' point, and I agree. I mean, in this case, I have these anxiety things, this anxiety thing of like, I just want to clean up everything and get rid of everything, and then everything
I'm with
breaks,
you. I'm
right?
with you too.
Yeah. So, but makes sense if we just do two small steps, or I mean, two big steps, but we know what are those two big steps, instead of doing like everything at once and then just we don't know what's going to blow in our face, right?
And we're not
So
doing end-to-end testing either. So
mhm.
yeah.
So maybe we can just define like, yeah, first thing we are just going to try all of this compilation process but with some new version of Nginx, right?
Okay.
And keeping
So
everything.
so 2 releases coming up. One of them with the beta release for 122 and the latest OpenResty.
Mhm.
That's going to be a beta, completely separate. And are we ready to do the 1.4.0 release? Because 1.4.0 will have the 119.1 fix, the Go 119.1 fix, and it will have endpoint slices, which is why it's getting bumped to 1.4.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
but
And maybe pod security policies, maybe.
Well, if we do it tomorrow, pod security policies won't be ready, right?
Yeah, no, it won't. So yeah,
Okay.
just go without pod security policies.
And I'm out next week, so
Okay.
okay. I can take that as action items.
then can you close on the couple of PRs that are like really waiting? The Cube Webbook Third Gen one.
Which one?
And
Oh, the new webhook. So I'm okay. So I know which one you're talking about, Long, because I was reading it yesterday or this morning. So a webhook surgeon, I commented on it. When we
yeah,
build a new webhook surgeon, it doesn't follow the Nginx tag. So it's got that random SHA and date. I'm fine with it having the SHA and date because we can change those images faster than we can change the controller image tag. So it doesn't have to follow the 1.3.0, the same Simver.
The webhook searching?
Yeah.
Yeah, we cannot even follow that because it's a different code.
Yep.
It's hard.
Which one is that? Is it this one? Yeah. So Carlos asked the question, which is fine to ask it, but I think this is fine.
okay. And similarly, I think there is 2 more PRs that are waiting for you.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
LGTM this.
Ricardo, if you look at the linter GoLint issue, so in my first run there was a very big list of breaks, and you suggested I check what they're caused by, right? The linter. But then after, while reading documentation, there's a flag there to check by release or tag, git tag. And when I check for the latest tag, there is 0 linting errors. And when I check for 130, there are 6 linting errors, and all of them are related to the difference between 130 and 131. And that was because at the time of merging that PR from, I think, Kamim, or I don't know who, it was still open. So,
Okay.
so right
I
now,
I
Do you
didn't
know?
saw that.
Yeah.
That's on the CI, right?
What's the issue number?
yeah, it's in the CI. So the question now is, when we do a GoLint check with the flag for the latest tag, then it doesn't report a single linting problem. So does that mean that we can go ahead and make the change in the CI?
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to fix is it's like past things, right? So instead of passing the flags, checking, because I guess when you pass the flags, it's gonna see the difference between like the latest, the last tags, right? So between
Right,
one and the other.
right.
So I think we can merge the CI and maybe think also in having some effort to correct things from the past, right? So instead of like just looking into the future, if we have something from the past, as an example, one of the things that Golang CI lint takes, it's we are using the math random, which is kind of deprecated, I guess, to use
Yes.
crypto random or something like that, right? So
Yeah.
we can look into we can look to that and start doing
Which
those
issue are we talking
fixes.
about?
That's a PR, I guess,
PR point.
or that's an issue. I don't remember.
It's a PR. It's a PR. Golint, Golang lint.
That's one from Long. The outer Long. Yeah, this one. No, that's not.
Yeah, that should be close.
None of those. Where is your PR?
What's the what's the number long?
Checking now.
Okay.
Because I think it's fine Long, but I want as well not to look just to the future, but take a look on the things that we have on past and maybe fix it, right?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's why I kind of asked you to take a look into as well on the past stuff and see things that make sense for us to fix and things that doesn't make sense.
Got it. Sorry, James, it's not a PR, it's an issue yet. The data is in the issue.
What? This is it. Okay. This should
What's
be
this?
fine. Why is this one still waiting?
No, hold on.
9037.
What's this thing?
9037.
Your issue is 9037. Sorry, I pulled up a separate one. Here you go, Ricardo. You can look at that while I pull up the other one.
Don't merge this. Let me take a look because this thing seems to break our CI.
What was the
Or
number
add
again?
more.
Long?
9037.
37. Replace GoLint with GoLint CI.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So Ricardo, if you're saying this, then it's going to be we have to cover all the errors. If you then we can't use flag and just only check the latest tag. So I think we have to fix all the errors, or at least most of them.
Yeah.
Before.
I mean, no, we can merge. You can open a PR to the CI lint, right? It's fine, and we can add that already to have this working in the future. I think it's fine. But also, I don't want to close this issue and instead use it to fix also what we find on the past and we fix on the past, right?
Got it.
Okay.
Understood. So can we confirm that when we merge it in the CI, we'll merge it with the flag to only check the latest tag?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it'll keep failing forever and ever.
Yeah. No, that's fine. We merge that to the future, and then you take care of the past. Sounds good?
Okay, got it. Understood. Okay, wait. Oh,
right.
That is awesome, interesting, because I think it is too much. It's just too much. Just too many deprecated crap things.
Yeah.
Have legacy. Okay.
And that's an opportunity to you to touch some Go code as well.
Yeah. That is
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, go ahead, Long.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that this other PR that James sent to me, it's something that I've asked actually to add other Kubernetes tests into Helm chart test because I have removed pod security policy, and now we are gonna have more tests than code. But I think we need this thing.
Yep. But Ricardo, so on the same thought process, you're talking this PR talking about same thought process. Now think about the other problem, right? The other day I mentioned. So if you're talking about linting problems, there is more or higher priority and really critical security problems that are not at all caught from image scan. They're all from the deprecated or insecure versions of packages that are included in GoMod. So
do you still have those? I thought that the PandaBot was like updating everything.
It should be.
Westnick reports very clearly shows there is so much that it is like 3-4 pages. So there is so much in Go mode that Dependabot must be catching some, but not all. There is too much left there that
Okay,
is not
so
picked up.
the thing is that someone, I think João, and he is working on the Go One check, right? I've seen that on the channel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And before assuming that something that we have a lot of vulnerabilities, I want actually to see the result on that, because that's the official way of Go right now, of Go community right now, to say what we do have vulnerable or not. Like if our code actually touches the vulnerable part of the code or not, right? Go boom.
Got it. Got
Right.
it.
So I got you, and I hear you along on that, and I am like my biggest concern right now with all of this and all of the things that we are doing is security as well, right? I just wanted to make sure that sorry, I just wanted to make sure that we are not changing too many things too fast on this part of vulnerability check, and we end up having more false positives that real alerts, and then we are just in this mood of like, yeah, whatever, let's ignore it, right? So
Got it. Got
let's
it.
let's
So
work on
that'll be the other nice thing too, is that if things do come across and
Yeah.
GoVol says that our code doesn't touch it, even though it's there, that does, I hate saying it, but beg the question of why we're using it, and then we should be able to remove it, right? If that's the idea about GoVol.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, James. That's the correct way. But then if we had to close this, then this issue that you created with the Go vulnerable use case, we have to like, we should have it sooner than later.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of targeting it for the next 4.x release, or do you want to go
It's just
beyond
a
that?
CI, it's just a CI test. So there was
Yeah.
an issue. I haven't looked into the issue that he's talking about here, but we can.
But Long, if you have a list like of some of those Go modules that you are telling me that they are vulnerable as well, like as an example, we had that problem with HTTP expect, right?
Yeah.
And we just removed that completely. I mean, just jump it in and replaced all of the tests that use an HTTP expect to something else and really smaller, right? So if we have some real, some not real, but some critical concern on some Go module, just tell me, just send those to me, and I will take a look.
We just open
What?
up issues and track it.
Yeah, or open an issue. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So
you
I
see,
can take care of at least like the more critical ones.
I mean, Hacktober is coming up. If we can add like removing this and doing testing, those are easy wins. We can add
Yeah,
on it to them.
Kubernetes org doesn't sign to Oktoberfest
Oh,
at all.
okay. I didn't know it was like a thing you could, I mean, it's an open source repo.
Yeah, but there was like there are some things like you need to add labels and other things, and
Oh,
there are
okay. So there's like
much.
repos that
Yeah,
are off limits. Okay.
yeah, there were so much spam on the last Oktoberfest. They just removed the whole Kubernetes org.
Okay.
I don't
I
think
did
there is
not
an
know
exception
that. I
on
mean,
that. Yeah.
I know it does get spammy, but this is that's legitimate work of removing dependencies.
We can still open like a good first issue and
Yeah.
help wanted, and like, hey, we are gonna sponsor
Okay.
memberships in the future if you get a lot of those, right?
Yeah. I like that. Okay. So Long,
we
I'll
kind of
add that as an action item for you. So I've got some action items. Last few minutes, how are we doing on the CP/DP split?
Great. So we are
You're like, oh man, you thought you were gonna get away with not talking about it.
we are getting crazy. No, I'm just kidding. So the PR is getting huge, and I have some things that I'm just leaving as a to do. So I will just go and do a self review on myself to see things that I'm missing, right? Right now, I am writing the end-to-end test. I'm just changing the end-to-end test suite to support the data plane. It already have the flag and it already deploys the data plane. For some reason, it's not connecting the data plane to the control plane, right? So I need to debug that. But other than that, if you take a look into the PR, you're gonna see that's like massive, huge, and it's going slower than I wanted, but it's going. There is something else.
Can you link the PR to the issue, Ricardo?
Just go to just go to pull requests. It's one of the first.
It's in there. I didn't know if we had opened the pull request yet.
Yeah, it's there. If you take a look, there is like one from me approve it, but here you go. You pass it, or you can find me. Yeah. There is something else. Yeah. So after I can make the end-to-end test connect, I still have two major items that I need to figure out. One is with Ismail. We need to look into the wire communication, right? So retries, all of the gRPC connection things that we need to figure out, like the retries, load balancer, whatever. And I need to make sure that the end-to-end test they passes, and if something doesn't pass, I need to see if it's like a fix that I need to make on the code, or if this is something that we shouldn't be supporting anymore because of control plane and data plane. So those are the major things. Right now, I want to make sure that at least the end-to-end test, they start running on some of those passes and some of those fails, so I can start working on the other parts, right?
Sounds good. Sorry, I was doing other things. I'm mostly just
no problem.
on the recording for people to know where we're at.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna start singing Mariah Carey for you, and you're gonna have this on the recording as well, okay?
Please no. It's Halloween season. It's not Christmas yet. Awesome. Okay. And then just last but not least, I've been investigating for the last couple of week and a half, on how to use APKO and Melange to rebuild all of our container images so that we can reduce our compilation times. I was able to, it took about 4 hours to produce all of the APKs for all of our dependencies, but then it takes 5 minutes to rebuild our containers every single time, because we don't change our dependencies all that often. So anytime we need to do a complete refresh rebuild, still takes the same amount of time, but every new Ingress controller version, it shouldn't take us that long, because we don't have to rebuild the NGINX image every single time then. So it's going to be pretty awesome, I think.
Nice.
Once I get that working for those, I can start working on the other images that we have, and then we won't have any Docker files, and we can programmatically do this. So it's removing Docker files and removing a lot of bash. So I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah.
Hey, what about the image size?
Image size isn't a thing. It just doesn't have any of the dependencies we need. Right now it's a little bloated because I still have like bash and other things to do testing. It's a little bigger, but I think I'm saying it's because of bash and all of that.
Seems like very good news.
Yeah, and they'll come with SBOMs and all the other fun jazz that we can use. I know we get a final SBOM from the staging to production build, and those containers get signed. We also don't put any of that information in the release notes, and that's a note for me to add that. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. Once I get that released, I'll probably do the same thing that we did with the V1 and what we're going to do with CPDP. Just put out a beta release and then eventually move to those once we get testing and people using them. So go through a couple of release cycles, making sure that it's working, because it is distroless. So there's always
cool
issues.
Amazing.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I will drop a note tomorrow when I start the release. If people want to follow along, and we'll go from there.
Okay. I'm gonna just drop whatever I have to work today just to make the pod security policy stuff. No, because I want this thing drop it. No, I won't have time for that. So 1.5 we are gonna drop pod security policies. Go ahead
Okay.
and do the 1.4 release. Yeah.
What we can talk offline. I was just wondering what made those so difficult. Is it just the home
the
chart?
pod security policy.
Yeah.
Kubernetes 125 doesn't support that anymore, right?
Yeah.
So also we have a lot of code that can be dropped because of pod security policy as well.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, not a lot of code, but we have some things on Helm charts and other things that can just be dropped.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
That's where the distinction was. I consider like Helm like the configuration stuff. I didn't think we had actual Go code in the Ingress controller for pod security policies.
we do on the end-to-end
okay.
tests. On the end-to-end tests, we do.
Okay, I'll go look at the PR then. All right, thanks everyone.
See
We'll
ya.
talk, if we don't talk, we'll talk in a couple weeks.
Bye-bye, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
See
Hey,
ya. Thank you.
yeah, okay. I was gonna ask you, Jane.